Keanu Reeves, a name that echoes across generations, whispered with admiration, shouted with love, and carried with respect. At 60 years old, he is not merely an actor, he is a symbol, a paradox, a man who has lived under Hollywood's blinding lights for decades, yet still walks as if he were a shadow passing quietly among us. To millions, he is the kindest man in Hollywood, a star who never let fame consume him. Fans share stories of him giving up his subway seat to strangers, of him writing quiet checks to hospitals, of him slipping away from red carpets only to sit alone on a park bench with a sandwich. He is adored not just for what he does on screen, but for how he lives when the cameras are turned away. And yet, behind that humble smile lies something far more haunting. Keanu's life is both extraordinary and devastating. The story of a man who has given the world joy while carrying within him an ocean of grief. This paradox makes him more than a star. He is a mirror of our own humanity. We see in him the strength we wish we had, the kindness we wish we lived, and the scars we know too well. Keanu is not untouched by tragedy. He is defined by it, and still, he walks forward with a grace so rare it feels almost otherworldly. Not because he has lived without pain, but because he has chosen to answer pain with compassion. He has refused to let heartbreak turn him bitter, instead using the shattered pieces of his life to build something that inspires millions. At 60, while many celebrities bask in ego and wealth, Keanu remains humble. He wears plain clothes, rides the subway, and talks to strangers as if they've been friends for years. Fame is fleeting, money is nothing, but kindness is everything. And still, beneath the kindness, something lingers, a heaviness in his eyes, a silence in his pauses, a wound that never fully healed. For as much as Keanu gives, he carries sorrow that no applause could ever erase. Before the world knew him as a legend, before the silver screen embraced his name, Keanu Reeves was just a boy, and a boy with no home to truly call his own. His story did not begin with glamour. It began with absence, with silence, with wounds carved in childhood that would never quite heal. Keanu was born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1964. His father, Samuel, walked out of his life when Keanu was only 3 years old. Imagine that, your very first memory of the man meant to guide you being one of disappearance. His father was there, and then he wasn't. A door closed, and the shadow of abandonment settled into Keanu's young heart. That shadow would follow him for decades, whispering that love was fragile, that family could shatter at any moment. His mother, Patricia, tried. She worked hard, moving from job to job, often marrying, often leaving. With each new husband came a new city, a new school, a new beginning. For Keanu, this meant a childhood spent in constant motion. Toronto, Sydney, New York, Honolulu. Places changed like costumes, but the script of his life stayed the same. Instability, uncertainty, loneliness. By the time he was a teenager, Keanu had attended more schools than most children could count. Each time he walked into a classroom, he was the outsider, the new kid, the boy with no roots. He struggled with dyslexia, making school even harder. Words swam on the page. Teachers mistook his silence for apathy. Other children mistook his awkwardness for weakness. He didn't fit in, and perhaps, deep down, he never expected to. But here lies the paradox. While most children would be crushed by such constant uprooting, Keanu learned something different. He learned how to adapt, how to survive, how to find strength in solitude. When no place felt permanent, he built a home within himself. When friends came and went, he discovered how to sit in silence and keep company with his own thoughts. Still, the scars of those early years ran deep. That absent father left more than an empty chair at the dinner table. He left a hole in Keanu's heart, one that no stepfather, no city, no applause could ever fill. Even now, at 60, when fans look into his eyes, they often see it, the quiet sadness of a boy still waiting for someone who never came back. Childhood was not kind to Keanu Reeves. It didn't offer him stability or certainty or the warm embrace of a steady family. Instead, it gave him abandonment. It gave him loss. It gave him loneliness so heavy that it became a part of him. But it also gave him resilience, a resilience that would one day make him strong enough to survive Hollywood, heartbreak, and the tragedies waiting in his future. For most, Fame is the finish line, the dream, the glittering prize at the end of a long and uncertain road. For Keanu, it came early, and it came suddenly. In the late 1980s, the world first saw flashes of his charm in films like River's Edge and Dangerous Liaisons. But it was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989 that turned him into a pop culture icon. With his boyish smile and quirky, lovable energy, Keanu became the face of a new generation. Hollywood embraced him. Young fans adored him. His face was everywhere. He was no longer the boy drifting from city to city, struggling with dyslexia, feeling like an outsider. He was now the star, the dreamer who had made it. And yet, even as the spotlight grew brighter, a different truth was quietly unfolding. Behind the laughter of Bill and Ted and the thrill of Speed, the 1994 blockbuster that cemented his status as a leading man, Keanu felt an emptiness that fame could not touch. The roar of applause echoed in his ears, but it did not silence the quiet sorrow that had been with him since childhood. He lived simply, even then, avoiding the lavish lifestyles of his peers. No mansions full of gold, no endless parties. He preferred quiet streets, motorcycles, long walks, moments of solitude. It wasn't that he rejected success, it was that success never filled the holes carved into him long ago. The absent father, the endless moving, the sense that he never quite belonged anywhere. Those shadows trailed him into the very heart of Hollywood, and in the middle of all this, Keanu's heart carried grief that the world never saw. Friends would describe him as kind, gentle, but also distant, as if part of him always lingered somewhere else, far away. That elsewhere was loneliness. That elsewhere was pain. Even with the triumph of Speed, even with the door-opening success that most actors dream of, Keanu was haunted by a question that no award, no magazine cover, no box office record could answer. Who am I, and where do I belong? In interviews, he was often quiet, reflective. While other stars bragged about their successes, Keanu spoke of gratitude, of being lucky just to be working. He rarely celebrated himself. Some mistook it for humility, others sensed it was something deeper, a man who could not bring himself to believe he truly deserved the glory. This was the paradox of Keanu's Hollywood years. Outwardly, he was climbing higher and higher, becoming one of the most bankable stars of the 1990s. Inwardly, he remained the boy from childhood, the boy marked by shadows, still searching for a place in the world. The Hollywood dream had come true, but the silent struggles never left. They were there, always, just behind the smile, just beneath the applause, reminding him that fame may dazzle, but it cannot heal. If there was ever a time when Keanu Reeves seemed close to peace, it was when he met Jennifer Syme. She was young, radiant, and filled with an energy that drew him in. She worked in the music industry, living a life surrounded by art and creativity. And when she and Keanu crossed paths, there was an instant connection. For a man who had carried loneliness for so long, Jennifer felt like a light, a chance at a life that could finally heal the wounds of the past. Their love was quiet, private, but it was real. Friends would later say that Keanu seemed different with her, almost lighter, as if some part of the weight he had carried since childhood had lifted. And when they discovered they were expecting a child, that light grew brighter still. For Keanu, it was hope, the chance to build the family he had been denied, to rewrite the broken history of his own childhood. But life, as it so often had for him, had other plans. In December 1999, just weeks before the new millennium, Jennifer gave birth to their daughter. She was stillborn. Her name was Ava Archer Syme Reeves. In a single moment, joy turned to devastation. What should have been the happiest chapter of Keanu's life became one of the darkest. The grief was unbearable. Keanu and Jennifer, both shattered, tried to hold on, but the weight of the loss was too much. Their relationship slowly unraveled. They parted ways, not because the love was gone, but because grief had become a wall too high to climb together. Still, they never truly let go of each other. Keanu and Jennifer remained close, bound not only by their past love, but by the memory of the child they lost. And then, fate struck again. On April 2, 2001, Jennifer Syme was driving in Los Angeles after leaving a party. She lost control of her car. It crashed. She was only 28 years old. Just like that, Keanu lost her too. The woman who had given him a glimpse of family, of love, of home, was gone forever. For most people, one tragedy of that magnitude would be enough to break them. For Keanu, it was another wound carved into a heart already fragile with sorrow. The stillbirth of his his daughter, the sudden death of the woman he loved, loss stacked on loss, pain layered on pain. And yet, in public, Keanu rarely spoke of it. He carried his grief quietly, as he always had. The sadness lingered in his eyes, in the way he smiled just enough, but never too much. Fans would later notice it, calling him the lonely man of Hollywood. But for Keanu, this was simply his truth. The tragedies of Jennifer and Ava shaped him. They deepened his compassion, his humility, his understanding of suffering. They made him the man the world admires today, a man who walks through life scarred, but never bitter. Love had found him, love had left him, and the silence it left behind would follow him forever. For Keanu Reeves, tragedy has never been a stranger. Just as he carried the grief of losing his daughter and Jennifer, life placed another heavy burden on his shoulders, one that struck not at romance or fatherhood, but at the very core of family. In the early 1990s, when his career was on the rise and the world was falling in love with him, Keanu's younger sister, Kim Reeves, received devastating news. She had been diagnosed with leukemia. She was just in her 20s, full of dreams and potential, when the disease began to consume her body and threaten her future.
For most stars, fame becomes an escape. But for Keanu, the Hollywood spotlight was meaningless compared to the silent battles being fought in hospital rooms. Instead of drowning himself in luxury, he poured himself into caring for Kim. He put acting on hold. He put premieres, parties, and promotions aside. The only role that mattered to him then was that of a brother. Day after day, he sat by her side, through treatments, through pain, through uncertainty. He drove her to appointments, comforted her in the quiet hours, and made her laughter his mission, even in the face of fear. Keanu gave away millions of dollars to fund leukemia research, never announcing it, never attaching his name to it, because for him, this wasn't charity, it was love. Those who knew him during that time say it transformed him. Fame, money, and Hollywood success lost all meaning. How could box office numbers matter when his sister's life hung in the balance? How could wealth define him when his own blood needed hope more than anything else? Keanu learned then, in a way more profound than most people ever do, that life's true currency is time and love. No paycheck, no mansion, no award could ease his sister's suffering, but his presence could, his devotion could, and so he gave himself entirely. Kim fought hard, treatments stretched into years, and miraculously, with Keanu's unwavering support, she went into remission. But the fight changed them both. For Keanu, it was a stark reminder of how fragile life is, how fleeting success can be, and how deeply we need each other to survive. Even long after her recovery, Keanu continued donating quietly to hospitals and cancer research foundations, always in Kim's honor. He refused to publicize it, insisting, "Money is the last thing I think about. What matters is helping people." The brothers' battle left its mark on him. It stripped away the illusions of Hollywood and reminded him of something much deeper, that the greatest role he would ever play was not Neo in The Matrix or Jack in Speed, but the role of a loving brother who stood by his sister when the world seemed darkest. This chapter of his life changed everything. It made him the man we know at 60, a man defined not by fortune or fame, but by love, sacrifice, and a devotion to family that no amount of tragedy could ever erase. When The Matrix premiered in 1999, it wasn't just a movie, it was a revolution, a film that shattered expectations, redefined action, and placed Keanu Reeves at the center of one of cinema's greatest legacies. With his quiet intensity, his physical dedication, and his ability to embody the reluctant hero Neo, Keanu became more than a star. He became a cultural icon. icon. Audiences around the world cheered. Critics called it groundbreaking. Suddenly, Keanu was no longer just the boyish face of Bill and Ted or the action star from Speed. He was the chosen one, the man who bent reality itself. The Matrix franchise exploded, earning billions, inspiring generations, and immortalizing him in Hollywood's history. On screen, Keanu Reeves was untouchable, but off-screen, his reality was very different. At the very height of his success, Keanu's personal life was in ruins. Months before the film's release, he and Jennifer Syme had lost their daughter. Just over a year later, Jennifer herself would die in a car accident. The man celebrated worldwide as a savior in fiction was privately drowning in sorrow. Every red carpet, every interview, every box office headline was a mask. Behind the cameras, Keanu was grieving, hollowed out by tragedies too heavy for words. Fame could fill theaters. Fame could build fortune, but fame could not bring back his child. Fame could not bring back Jennifer. The contrast was heartbreaking. On screen, he was Neo, the hero who could rewrite destiny, who could bend time, who could defy death itself. In reality, Keanu was a man powerless to change the one thing he wanted most, to undo his losses, to rewrite his own story, to bring back the people he loved. It was during these years that fans began to notice something about him, a stillness, a quiet melancholy in his eyes, even when he smiled. It wasn't the arrogance of a superstar. It was the sadness of a man who had seen too much pain. Keanu was adored worldwide, yet when the cameras shut off, he often sat alone, a sandwich on a park bench, a subway ride in silence, a reminder that behind the myth of Neo was a human being carrying unbearable grief. And still, through it all, he gave. Keanu famously handed over millions of his own earnings from the Matrix sequels to the special effects and costume teams, insisting they deserved the money more than he did. He kept working, not for himself, but for the people around him. His pain never hardened him. Instead, it deepened his compassion. The Matrix was both triumph and tragedy for Keanu Reeves. It gave him glory beyond measure, but it also revealed a truth that fans could not ignore. Fame cannot heal grief. Applause cannot replace love. And no matter how powerful a man looks on screen, in real life, even legends bleed.
At 60 years old, Keanu Reeves remains one of Hollywood's most admired figures. His career is still thriving, his films beloved across generations, and his humility has made him more than a star. It has made him a symbol of kindness in an industry known for ego. And yet, behind the applause and admiration lies a quiet truth. Keanu still walks much of life alone. He never remarried after tragedy struck his personal life, nor did he build the kind of sprawling family many might expect of a man so adored. Instead, his life is marked by simplicity. He prefers quiet meals over lavish parties, motorcycles over limousines, and moments of solitude over red carpets. Fans often catch glimpses of him, sitting on a bench, staring into the distance, or eating by himself in a small diner. These images resonate because they reveal a rare vulnerability in someone so famous. His loneliness, however, has not hardened him. If anything, it has softened him further. Rather than withdrawing from the world, Keanu has found meaning in generosity and quiet acts of compassion. From supporting charities to helping strangers without expecting recognition, he has turned his solitude into a source of kindness. At 60, Keanu carries himself with grace, a man who has weathered life's storms, who still smiles, still works, and still gives. He is adored not because his life has been perfect, but because his imperfections
roles have made him profoundly human. Keanu Reeves is more than the sum of his roles. His story is one of resilience, of a man shaped by hardships, yet defined by how he responded to them. The wounds of his past, from family struggles to devastating loss, have left a mark, but they have also given rise to a depth of compassion rare in Hollywood. Unlike many stars whose fame builds walls, Keanu's pain broke his down. He treats strangers with the same respect as co-stars, makes time for fans, and lifts up those working behind the scenes. His legend isn't only in the box office records of The Matrix or John Wick, but in the countless untold moments when he chose to be kind, even when he was hurting himself. Still, the price has been steep. For all the admiration and global love he receives, his own search for lasting personal happiness remains elusive. His journey reveals a bittersweet truth. Sometimes the very qualities that make someone extraordinary are born from scars that never fully heal. When reflecting on life, Keanu once said, "While we're here, it's important to be kind and to help people." That simple belief is his legacy, not just as an actor, but as a human being who turned heartbreak into hope for others. The tragedy of Keanu Reeves is that he has endured more than his share of loss. The miracle is that through it all, he became not only a Hollywood legend, but a legend of the human spirit, eternal, compassionate, and unforgettable.